So the dev team has done it. They have added guts to the game. Not exactly guts, but they've added a lot of cool new items to the game, like this black greatsword that makes it so that you can pretty much roleplay as guts, dealing tons of high melee damage. Like probably many of you, I am a massive fan of the Berserk series, and I am a massive fan of greatsword weapons. So I think it's about time we start with a nice greatsword build. So far the build feels really good in Nightmare, and I'm probably going to be pushing to higher difficulties. Either way, let me show you my guts build in Remnant 2. Alright, now we're on the build section, and two things I wanted to say first off. This is a melee focused build. If you are a player who play this game enough, you know how melee builds tend to fare against range based enemies, so no one should be very confused about that. Bring a pretty good ranged weapon that should help you out. But yes, this is a melee based build, so it's going to probably not do the best against range based enemies. So that's the first thing. Second thing, all the footage that you're going to see, like at the end, is going to be based in Nightmare mode. I didn't do it on the hardest difficulty because I'm just kind of working on the build. I guess it's something of a build in progress, but I'm capable of clearing all the way up into 19 and everything, depending on the matchups, of course. But yeah, just for clarity, it can do every bit of the content so far, at least the boss rush. I'm assuming most of you are doing that. Either way, let's dive into the build. I haven't done one of these build videos in like a year or something, so let's go over our archetype, I guess. So our archetype is going to be Challenger. We're going to be using him as our prime perk, which is Die Hard for those who are not familiar with it. Whenever you receive fatal damage for 3 seconds, you'll get like invulnerability, and then you'll have 100% of your health regenerated back to you, which is really nice. And this is actually really good for that like mode where you're going in to do like the boss rush. And then while this is on cooldown, you get 1 stack of bulwark, which kind of synergizes with our build a little bit. So it's pretty nice. We're using the skill Juggernaut. This is going to give us 3 stacks of bulwark. We're going to get some MS, we're going to get some melee attack speed, and we're going to get reduced stamina costs. We are a melee focused build, so this works really well. And this is going to increase our melee damage by 50%. And then we're going to get stagger reduction by 1, lasting for 32 seconds. But yeah, this is what we're using for our prime perk. Face of danger, whenever you use your relic, you're going to get some stacks of bulwark, which works really well. Powerlifting, this is going to give you your stamina cost reduction depending on the bracket you're in terms of weight. We run with medium weight, so we're fine. Intimidating presence, this is just going to give damage reduction on enemies. Well, enemies don't deal as much damage, if that makes sense. And then close quarters, we're going to have all damage to enemies within 10 meters of us take increased damage, also giving us a little bit of crit chance, which is really nice. For our secondary, we're going to be using Invader. Invader is going to give us the ability to be like pretty mobile. Again, we're a melee focused build, and I kind of wanted to solve for move speed since we don't actually take move speed based perks. So we're going to use this Invader, and this is going to be our gap close. The main reason we're going to be using Wormhole is the fact that this ability has the ability to give us 300% damage on our next hit whenever we do our charge attack. And since this build is going to be like a charge heavy hit kind of thing, this is going to give us up to 650% damage on our charge hit if we fully charge it up, which can be a little difficult at times if you don't know how to position yourself. But you know, that's kind of the thing. We're going to get a lot of damage. Even if you don't, for example, you're still going to like hit them with 300% increased damage after you teleport. You'll probably do like 2-3k, so it's really nice. This has a 24-second cooldown, and then you have 2 charges of it, so it's really nice. For our perks, we have Shark. Whenever we sprint or whenever we dodge or evade, we're going to get like a momentum buff, and this momentum buff is going to give us more damage, and then it's going to give us more crit, which is really good for our melee, so this works really well. Next, we have Loophole. It's not the best. What this does is any ally that has a like decoy distracting an enemy within the range of them, if they hit, they'll get like life steal. We have Circumvent, reduce the cost of evade and combat slide, and then perfect dodges gain an additional 15% reduction. And we're melee, so we kind of want to, you know, be able to dodge and stuff, so this work. And then finally, we're going to get Override. This is basically whenever you use a relic, you'll get like threat generation, and then you can like get a free decoy out of it basically whenever you dodge. So that's what it's for. That is our prime perks. Let's go over our traits. For our traits, we're going to be picking up Fortify. This is going to give us armor, which is really nice. I think this is on every build. We're going to be picking up Gifted because we want that duration for our buffs. We're going to be getting up Regrowth because I actually really like the heal regeneration whenever you're like swinging and fighting. It's nice to be able to get some health back while you're just like kind of tanking. You don't really take a lot of damage with this build, and with your gray health stuff, and you're like kind of rehealing your gray health, which we're going to talk about in a second, you actually end up having a lot of regeneration, and it's really hard to kill you. It works really well. You don't have to use regrowth. I know people don't like this perk that much, but I like it. It works really well with the build. We're going to be picking up strong back for our weight reduction. That one's pretty self-explanatory. We're going to have untouchable. This comes based with the invader, I believe. This is going to give us a bit of evade window efficiency, which is really nice. Bigger for HP. I feel like this is standard. Endurance, once again, I feel like this is standard for the stamina. Expertise for the cooldown, which works really well with the build. We're going to be picking up bark skin to make it so that we take less damage overall, because again, we're going to be in melee range. And then we're going to get bloodstream because we want the great health regeneration. This is going to be a great way to sustain us when we're charging in vulnerable, and this will actually pretty much counteract any hits unless they're like really egregiously strong hits. So it works really well. I really like it. I think this one's really core. And then finally we have Shade Skin. This one's kind of up to you. You want to swap this one out. You can swap this one out and Bark Skin if you don't want these two. I really like defense on melee focused builds because, again, range can be a pain in the butt. And being able to like just take some extra punishment while I'm trying to kill them slowly with my ranged weapons can kind of help out. So yeah, do what you want here, but that's what we go with. Finally, to our gear, probably the moment you all been waiting for. We have the Crown of the Red Prince. We're using the Disciple Mantle. We're using the Bandit Trousers, and we're using the Night Stalker gloves. Honestly, I just kind of tried to go with like a gutsy look, and this is like the only cape that's in the game, as you can see. Well, that I know of. I don't know. It's really hard to make guts in this game, so that's kind of what I was trying to go for. And he doesn't have like a mask on, and this has... I don't know. I try to make it work. If you have better drip suggestions, feel free to leave it. Then we have Tranquil Heart. This is going to give us some HP regeneration per second and doubles all health regeneration for 15 seconds. You don't need to make anything that gives you great health, if that makes sense, because I'm sure just things hitting you is going to give that to you. So that's why we're using Tranquil Heart, but I'm pretty sure this is kind of like whatever. You can kind of do what you want here. For our weapons, I'm using the Monolith with the Spell Weave. The reason why I'm using this is because this is what I was using when I last played, and it felt pretty good. I would highly recommend you go with a weapon that is going to be good without a build around it, if that makes sense, because again, you're going to have pretty bad matchups against ranged enemies. So in my opinion, to have something that's really good range that can kind of be strong on its own. I'm not sure what that weapon is because I haven't played in like forever. So if you guys know, feel free to leave in the comments. That helps some other players out. Next, we have the Black Greatsword. This is a new greatsword that came with the DLC. I have this down in the description if you want to check it out, as well as a time card if you want to know how to get this. I made a video for it, but this is a really cool weapon that has the Indomitable Strike on it, and what this does is it grants you 15% damage reduction while you're charging up. It converts all damage taken to great health, and it prevents wielder from being staggered, and from what I can tell, I haven't had anything that's been able to knock me out of my stagger, so it's really nice. And then charging increases maximum damage by up to 350%, and this is where we get our big strikes. The biggest hit I've seen so far is about 10k, so just keep that in mind. But that was with the invader buff, and I got a crit, and I hit him in the weak point, and I got perfect everything. But anyway, it's still a lot of damage. We are using Guts. This increases our melee crit chance by 25% whenever we have great health present. That's going to be pretty easy to get because we're kind of staying there charging up. And then we're going to get, whenever it's level 10, it's going to increase your melee crit damage by 0.5 for every 1% of great health loss. And this actually ends up being a pretty bulky amount of damage. Again, go check out the video if you're trying to get this really cool weapon. I'm using the Nebula with the feedback just for extra range damage. Again, I don't know what the meta weapon is that's good without stuff, but this is what I'm using. And then finally, going over our like accessories, we're going to be using the Whispering Marble. Grants 3 stacks of bulwark, increasing all damage by 2% per stack of bulwark. Obviously this has really good synergy with the challenger setup, so that's really cool. And then we have the Berserker's Crest. We increase melee speed by 10% and reduces melee stamina cost by 30%, which is actually pretty helpful. We do have minor stamina issues. You can take like stamina stuff to kind of make it better, but if you're doing like the boss rush stuff, you can always just take the stamina perks, which I typically do. We're going to be taking Brawler's Pride, increase melee speed by 15% and melee crit chance by 5%. I'm not sold on this, but it's pretty okay. So kind of do what you want here. And then we're going to take Rally Band. Melee strikes convert great health into health. Each melee strike converts up to 10% of maximum HP. Now this is really good in my opinion, because this is going to be a way to help you sustain your HP. Generally speaking, at least in nightmare mode, from what I can tell, I am able to pretty much sustain health at all times. Nothing really do too much damage. I think the One True King, whenever he does his beam, that can be kind of dangerous. Obviously, don't stand in any beam attacks. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I think this is a really cool addition to the build. Feel free to leave any suggestions, by the way, to the build, because again, I don't know what the new items are, so some of them could be a little bit more beneficial, but I do feel like Rally Band works really well for this. Finally, we're using the Fey Warrior Ring. This increases our melee damage by 15%. There's probably other things that are better. This is what I'm using right now, but yeah, this is what I like. Feels really good. For fragments, guys, I'm still leveling this, by the way. I really wouldn't do anything here. I kind of gave up some of my melee stuff, so all the stuff that you're seeing is just kind of without this stuff. There's quite a bit more power that you're going to get out of it, but this is what I'm running right now. We're kind of playing around with the prism system. I'll have a more refined prism system within the next like 2 days or so, but yeah, for the prism system, just kind of go for like melee focused stuff, damage reduction, melee crit damage, stuff like that. I'm sure you guys can figure it out for a melee based focused build. But yeah, this is still work in progress, and we'll have something next time. When it comes to concoctions, I'm always using Xenoplasm, but kind of use whatever you want, and sometimes I use the Sweet Leaf for the Bulwark, which kind of helps us with damage reduction, and stuff like that. You could probably go like HP, you can go Stamina, that's what I would go with. Cooldown, Stamina, HP, and eat some leaves sometimes, so yeah, that's what I would do. Alright, and there you have it, guys. That is my Guts build. I'll have a little bit of like footage and gameplay playing in the background so you guys can kind of see it in action. Not gonna be too many because like 19 levels is a very long time. I can do like a longer video if that's something you guys want to see. But anyway, hopefully you guys liked the video. Let me know down in the comments anything you would like to change, maybe something I can look at, better weapons, better mods, things like that. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.
To the rock.